We've been more of a seller this year, not so much as a buyer. And our last property we purchased was earlier this year, 157 units in Gainesville, Georgia. And so that's about 50 miles outside of Atlanta. And we're having great success with that property. But really just we're starting to see stuff loosen up now. And I think we might have one more acquisition this year.
So Charles, I'm curious, like, what are you seeing right now, right? Cap rates, interest rates, things are shifting pretty quickly. What's your take on the health and the status of multifamily investment real estate? Where are you buying if you're buying? And how have things changed in the past 3 months for you guys for underwriting?
For the last 3 months, well, we've seen over this whole year, over the last 6 months, I would say that we've seen a lot of sellers come to terms with the higher interest rates. So we're seeing cap rates expand a little bit in different markets we're looking at. We're seeing sellers come back to us that we turned away deals of 6-9 months ago. So really stuff we were looking at, beginning of this year, end of last year, we're actually seeing it come back. And I think we're seeing a lot of floating rate owners with a lot of floating rates are really coming back to kind of bite them if they didn't have any type of cap rate what do you call it? Cap rate,
fixed interest rate, or a cap on how high it could go.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words here. And if you don't have any type of interest rate cap on what you're doing with floating debt, I mean, it's really kind of like a bloodbath for a lot of owners out there. And we see that coming into the market now, and we're seeing, we're seeing the beginning of it. And we'll see what happens. We've been more of a seller this year, not so much as a buyer. And our last property we purchased was earlier this year, 157 units in Gainesville, Georgia. And so that's about 50 miles outside of Atlanta. And we're having great success with that property. But really just we're starting to see stuff loosen up now. And I think we might have one more acquisition this year.
So you're seeing sellers coming back to you and saying, hey, you know what, Charles, that offer you gave us 6-8 months ago looks pretty attractive. And we didn't make a deal for whatever reason with these other buyers. Are you still a buyer? Do you want a deal? For those sellers who are doing that, are you changing your offer? Are you making the deal? Talk to us about that.
In most cases, we always want to make the deal, but we are editing numbers in most, if not all, the cases because of the debt. I mean, where we are now, you have the LIBOR that's gone up 3.5%, and since the beginning of the year, and that's something that really rides on that and SOFR for your floating rate debt. So we really have to be careful with what we're doing there, and then getting rate caps and knowing how many years we're going to get that rate cap for, if we're going to get 2 years or longer. And just make sure you have like a really clear plan when you're dealing with that. Fixed rate is something that we've always been interested in. We're also looking at sellers that are coming back that have assumable loans with fixed rate. We did a deal like that end of last year, which was great. It was at that point, it was a higher interest rate but it is now. We knew that we were going to have this coming up, so it's something that turned out to be a great deal, and we're working on that deal as well.
Yeah, absolutely.